My wallet was in your bag. You thief. My Sil yelled at me while rummaging through her bag. It happened during a dinner party at my in-laws' house to celebrate the date set for my wedding with Tyler, my fiancé. There, among our families, was Suzanne, whom I didn't get along with. When I visited the in-laws to announce our engagement, Suzanne singled me out. After that, my sister-in-law, who frequently invites me out to dinner, says, "I just don't have change today. Can you replace it for me?" She would also say things like, "I forgot my wallet. Can you lend me some money?" However, she never once paid for meals herself. She never paid for meals herself, and she hasn't repaid me either. At first, I wanted to get along with her. But my trust eroded over time, and now I avoid her as much as possible. Being accused of theft in front of my fiancé and relatives left me speechless. The wallet she held was indeed hers, but I swore I hadn't stolen it. Suzanne, please calm down. What? You want to make excuses? Be ready, I'll sue you for stealing my wallet. Without giving me a chance to respond, Suzanne continued to rant excitedly. Seeing her like that, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Even our relatives started laughing, leaving Suzanne dumbfounded. What's so funny? Eventually, she turned red with anger, and I decided to tell her the truth. I can't help but laugh. You've said quite a lot, haven't you, Sil? My name is Nora. I'm a 28-year-old office worker who recently got engaged to Tyler, my boss at the company. Tyler, 2 years older, has been supportive since I joined the company. Tyler has been looking out for me since I joined the company. My first impression of him was that he's a reliable boss who's easygoing and listens sincerely to his subordinates. As we interacted daily, we grew closer, sharing not only work but also personal stories, gradually developing mutual affection. Our similar ages and common interests likely played a role. After smoothly dating for several years since our workplace romance began, we decided to get married and agreed to inform our parents first. When we visited my family initially, my parents and sister warmly blessed us. Yuria, my older sister by 7 years, is already married with 2 children and lives nearby. She is currently working as a translator from home due to an illness from her childhood, but since I was going back home, she finished her work earlier today and came to see me. Nora, congratulations. Tyler, please take care of my sister. She smiled and bowed deeply to Tyler. She's always been very affectionate towards me. And I love my kind and intelligent sister dearly. On the way back after finishing the greetings with the family, Tyler said, "She's a wonderful sister." I felt so happy, as if he was talking about me. Tyler, you have a sister too, right? I'm really looking forward to meeting her. When I mentioned that, Tyler showed a somewhat complicated expression. I'm glad you're looking forward to it. But the thing is, my sister, she's a bit selfish and likes to show off, you know. I'm worried she might cause trouble for you, Nora, Tyler replied, looking uncomfortable. It seems he doesn't want his sister to meet me too much. As for me, since she's going to be my Sil, I want to get along with her. But I never imagined that this Sil of mine would end up being such a headache for me. Later, when I visited Tyler's parents' house, they greeted me warmly. Nora, it's been a while. Thanks for coming. Mill welcomed me casually, and Phil smiled warmly. While I had only talked to Tyler's parents a few times at the entrance to their house, our relationship was good. However, since it was my first time going inside their house and meeting Tyler's sister for the first time, I was nervous. However, it seemed that Tyler's sister was conveniently absent. While I was disappointed, Tyler seemed visibly relieved. Perhaps he didn't want me to meet his sister after all. While keeping Tyler's sister in mind, the conversation flowed smoothly with Tyler's parents, and my nerves quickly settled as we enjoyed our time together. Tyler's parents were genuinely happy about our marriage, and I felt relieved seeing their reaction. As we prepared to leave, Tyler's parents saw us off at the door. Just as I was about to put on my shoes at the entrance, the door suddenly opened from the outside, and a voice said, "I'm home." A woman entered. At the sight of her, Tyler exclaimed, It's you, Tyler. What, you're leaving already? I just got home, you should stay a little longer." Standing there, blocking the door, was a woman in her mid-30s who seemed to be around the same age as my sister. However, unlike my sister, she wore heavy makeup and gave off a strong impression. I immediately recognized her as Tyler's sister, Suzanne. According to what Tyler had told me, she was divorced and had no children. Nice to meet you, I'm Nora, the one dating Tyler. We're getting married soon, so I came to introduce myself. When I bowed to Mysil, the response I got was a curt huh. When I looked up, Mysil was scrutinizing me with evaluating eyes. Then, she smirked and asked, "So, where did you meet Tyler?" "Hey, sis, you and Nora have just met, right? Don't ask questions like that out of the blue." Without even looking at Tyler, who was appalled and warned her, Sil asked me further, "How much salary do you get paid? You must have a lot of money since you're so well dressed. Do you work for the same company as Tyler?" She asked me various questions. Well. Feeling puzzled by the barrage of questions, I couldn't say anything, and Tyler intervened, expressing his discontent to his sister. "Cut it out already. Nora's feeling uncomfortable. We're leaving, so step aside," Tyler said, pulling Suzanne away from me. However, she glared at him as if to say, "Don't interfere." "What's the problem? If we're going to be sisters-in-law, we should be able to chat a bit, right? Oh, Nora, let's exchange contact info." Feeling bewildered as Mysil pulled out her smartphone from her bag and said that, but indeed, since we would become family in the future, I couldn't refuse. In the end, I caved in to Mysil's persistence and gave her my contact information, but now I wonder if it was really a good idea, and regret it. "Hey Suzanne, don't trouble Nora too much," Mills said, but Suzanne paid no attention, and walked into the house without a care. I finally understood why Tyler looked grim when Suzanne's name came up in conversation. Unlike her brother Tyler, Suzanne seemed pushy and unwilling to listen to others. She was the complete opposite of my real sister. I couldn't help but feel anxious about how to get along with her in the future. However, my desire to maintain a good relationship with my in-laws hasn't changed, so I'll try to respond promptly to Suzanne's messages when she contacts me. The day after we exchanged contact info, Suzanne's emails started coming frequently. As we exchanged emails, we discovered that our workplaces were close to each other. One day, Mysil invited me to lunch during our work break. Though I had no reason to decline, when it came time to pay for our meal, my sister-in-law let out a sudden "nah." "What's wrong?" "I'm sorry, Nora, I don't have any changes right now. Could you please replace it for me, and I'll pay you back later?" Without a hint of remorse, my sister-in-law said this while looking through her own wallet. I found her behavior suspicious, but I thought, well, it's just for one lunch, so I covered for her as she asked. But then, on another day, "Oh no, I forgot my wallet. Nora, please pay for me." Mysil, who had invited me to lunch many times by herself, started making me pay for her meals by giving me some reason. And when I later asked her to pay me back, she'd dismiss it with, "Lunch isn't that much, right? Let's not sweat the small stuff." Even though the cost of one lunch itself is not a lot of money, my sister-in-law repeatedly invites me to lunch, and my burden gradually increases. And months went by without her repaying me a dime. My distrust of her grew stronger by the day. I realized it was better to steer clear of her, and any desire to get along with her had long since disappeared. Lately, I'd been making excuses to decline lunch invitations and keeping my email replies brief. So I tried to cut off ties as much as possible, but one day after work, when I left the office with Tyler, a familiar voice immediately called my name. I turned to the voice and there stood Mysil. She had been waiting for me to finish work. "Seems like you and your husband leave work together." "How sweet," she said sarcastically, making Tyler frown. "Sis, what's up?" When Tyler asked, his sister smiled and said, "Actually, I'm going to have dinner with some friends today, but I don't have enough money. Nora, can you lend me some money?" I was indeed disgusted by her behavior, as if to say that she had gotten a taste of it. "I'll have to decline. You still haven't paid back the money you borrowed before." Upon my firm refusal, Suzanne grew annoyed. "You're so cold. We're family, aren't we? It's fine for family to lend money. Besides, you make more than me." I have never once mentioned my salary to her, but she probably looked it up because I work for the same company as Tyler. And I wanted to argue that I didn't remember being in your family yet, but Tyler reprimanded my sister-in-law before I could open my mouth. "I don't think you should lend or borrow money, even if it's from family." Instead of going out to dinner, return the money you owe Nora first. If you can't pay her back right now, then go home for today. Tyler, who do you think you're talking to? I'm your sister. Are you siding with this woman over your own sister? Earlier, she referred to us as family, but now she's glaring at me while referring to me as an outsider. Furthermore, she started espousing this absurd theory, saying, you know, nowadays, women have to have money too. Understand, Nora, refusing to lend me money is like admitting you're poor. It's a completely incomprehensible argument. Tyler seemed to have lost his will to get angry, as he just looked utterly exasperated. What you're saying is messed up. Nora, let's go. You don't have to take my sister's words seriously. Feeling defeated, we left without further confrontation. As we left, colleagues glanced our way, drawing attention. Wait. Hold on. Susan yelled from behind, but we didn't look back. Despite occasional contact, I kept my responses brief due to wedding preparations. I declined her invitations and avoided meeting her since she ambushed me at work. Amidst all this, the wedding date was finally set and a gathering for both families was arranged. The venue was Tyler's family home. Upon our arrival, my parents and sister, Yuria, arrived too. Although Susan was present, she remained surprisingly quiet and didn't speak to me. Her unsettling behavior contrasted with a festive mood and sumptuous dinner. The dinner party ended on a cheerful note, with everyone chatting happily. Suddenly, Suzanne, returned from the bathroom and started yelling, "Cow! My wallet's gone. Where is it?" It seemed her wallet, which she thought was in her bag, had disappeared. "Calm down, maybe you left it in your room." Mill tried to reassure her, but Susan wasn't listening. "I'm sure I put it in my bag. I get it now. You stole it," she accused me triumphantly, grabbing the bag next to me and rummaging through it. Then, with a surprised look, she pulled out a wallet from the bag. The wallet, which I had seen several times before, belonged to Mysil. "Look at that. Just as I said, my wallet was in your bag," Susan exclaimed victoriously, then turned to confront me. "You stole it while I was in the restroom, didn't you? Acting all innocent, you're unbelievable. I oppose someone like you becoming my brother's wife." "Sil, please calm down. Planning to make excuses. What you did is theft. Be prepared to pay damages." Without letting me speak, Susan continued to shout excitedly. Unable to bear it, I burst into laughter. "Hada, ha-haga." As I started laughing, my parents and Tyler also burst into laughter. Seeing them, Susan was left dumbfounded, then her face turned red with anger. What's so funny? It's hard not to laugh. You've said quite a lot, Sil." Huh. Noticing that Mysil seemed to be having trouble understanding, it was my sister who spoke up next, sitting beside me. "That bag isn't my sister's. It's mine." The moment she heard those words, Susan froze. Huh. Cold sweat formed on her face. "There is no way my sister could have stolen your wallet, right?" I asked as a confirmation. It turns out Susan had been looking for an opportunity to pick a fight with me. I had anticipated that she might cause trouble, so I hadn't brought my bag to today's dinner party. The bag by my side belonged to my sister, and furthermore, my sister would never steal someone's wallet. It was simply impossible, because my sister has been unable to walk since childhood due to illness and uses a wheelchair for mobility. She can't stand or walk on her own. Both the in-laws and Susan witnessed my sister arriving at the dinner party in a wheelchair. My sister hadn't moved from her seat since the dinner began, chatting amicably with both sets of parents. Most likely, Susan had put the wallet in my sister's bag herself. The issue was when Susan managed to slip the wallet into the bag unnoticed by us. "Suzanne, before we started the meal, didn't you come over to greet me and our parents? At that time, I remember you were sitting right next to me with my bag positioned behind your back. I felt something was off about your behavior. Wasn't that the moment you put the wallet in there?" It was my sister's calm words that resolved my doubts. Nora, unable to answer my questions immediately, looked flustered with wandering eyes. In this state, it's as good as admitting guilt. Pushed into a situation where there's no escape, Sil groaned. Following that, my sister advised her calmly. "I've heard about your character from my sister. Even though we're almost the same age, resorting to such elaborate harassment, what kind of person does that make you?" Please don't hurt my precious sister any further." Hearing those words, I finally realized my sister was angry. She has a gentle nature, but when she's angry, she speaks calmly and sternly, which is quite intimidating. Unable to argue back after being lectured, Sil was scolded by my parents-in-law. "Suzanne, what are you doing? Calling Nora a thief is beyond embarrassing. Pathetic. Despite treating you and Tyler equally, where did I go wrong in raising you? Nora, everyone, I'm sorry for my daughter's behavior." Phil apologized to us. However, even seeing her parents apologize didn't seem to affect Sil. In the next moment, Sil stood up forcefully and glared at me fiercely. "What, trying to make me the bad person with everyone? Besides, I was against your marriage to Tyler from the start. Even today, I hoped you'd be embarrassed and break up. You've really ruined everything." At this point, she began to reverse the blame, leaving us speechless. However, Tyler, who knew Sil's true intentions, was furious. "Stop it," when he shouted. Sil flinched. "I've been listening to you without saying a word since a while ago. I knew you were trying to ruin our relationship. I can't take it anymore, so I'm going to say it all right here and now." "Huh? Wait, what are you going to say?" Sil tried to stop him in a panic, but Tyler, at the end of his patience, continued. He exposed all of Sil's wrongdoings, from making me cover for lunch to begging for money outside our company's office. According to Tyler, Sil had been whispering baseless insults about me to him, trying to break us up. Who would believe such words? I know Nora has been working hard since she joined the company and has a kind and sincere personality. No matter if we're family, there are good and bad things to say. Tyler didn't delve into the exact content of Sil's insults, but his intense anger suggested they were quite terrible lies. Did such a thing happen? I was surprised to hear for the first time, and Tyler looked regretful. "Sorry. I didn't want to worry you unnecessarily, so I kept quiet. No matter what my sister says, I believe you." With a serious tone, Tyler replied, and my eyes welled up with tears. Wiping away the tears, I turned to Sil. "Sil, I've decided to stand by Tyler no matter what. So, please grow up and stop being so petty," I said. Sil blushed, perhaps out of embarrassment, and said, "Shut up." Remember that, before leaving her parents' house. As the storm passed, I felt relieved. Whatever harassment Sil may plan in the future, I'm not afraid anymore. This incident has only deepened my love for Tyler. I vowed to continue trusting and walking together with him in my heart. A few days later, the lunch money I had previously covered for my Sil was returned to me through my in-laws. Apparently, my in-laws pressured Sil to settle the money she owed me, and she reluctantly complied. Later on, my Sil's ex-husband contacted my in-laws. The reason for their divorce was Sil's spending habits, which even extended to their living expenses. As a result, Sil was being sued for alimony by her ex-husband, and she had informed my in-laws that she had already paid it off, but it turned out that there was still a considerable amount remaining. Recently, it was discovered through her ex-husband's contact that she had been defaulting on her repayments. Upon learning this, my in-laws had had enough of Sil's antics and decided to cut ties with her. In addition to the misdeeds she had committed against us as a couple, it turned out that Sil had a previous conviction for stealing money from the house. In fact, in addition to the alimony, my sister-in-law had debts from buying brand-name goods and going to host club. According to Tyler, Sil had been heavily involved in host clubs since her 20s and had been warned by our in-laws several times. In the end, my Sil's reckless spending habits even led her to embezzle money from her workplace, leaving me utterly appalled. This misconduct eventually came to light at her company, and she was recently fired as a result. A few days later, I received a call from my sister-in-law, who had been kicked out of her parents' house and lost her job. "Only you can help me now, Nora. Please, just lend me a little money," she pleaded tearfully, but I refused, of course. "Don't you think it's too convenient now? Please repay the alimony and debts with money you earned honestly. I have no intention of associating with you anymore." What? We're family, aren't we? Let's get along from now on. I also wanted to get along with you at first, but I don't want to be part of a family with someone who has reckless spending habits and doesn't feel guilty about what they've done. With that, I cut off the call, despite Suzanne's continued protests. Afterward, Sil started living a poor life in an apartment she could barely afford with her little savings. However, she ended up leaving the apartment soon after, chased by debt collectors, and now, no one knows where she is or what kind of life she's living. Tyler also said he would never have anything to do with Sil again. A month later, we had our wedding without Sil present. The happy moments, blessed by many, are unforgettable memories for a lifetime. After our marriage, we began living in a new house that we had been preparing for some time, and shortly after, I found out that I was pregnant. Looking forward to the birth of our child, Tyler and I spend fulfilling days together. With our new family on the way, I can only hope for many more happy days ahead.